Welcome to Shaky Sports Journeys. Great podcast ahead for you today. A historical day for Pakistani cricket as they have recorded a series win after going down 1-0 and things just looking completely a shambles for Pakistani cricket. Pakistani cricket does Pakistani cricket things. They've bounced back. They've won the next two test matches and they have recorded a 2-1 series victory over England. And it's a great pleasure to welcome to the podcast to talk through it. I say hello and assalamu alaikum to Azeem Rafiq.
Well, Salam Shaky, how are you?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. I've got sunshine here in Edinburgh. Lovely. Not quite the same temperature as where you're coming from. I think you just mentioned 34 degrees with a lovely, nice breeze.
Yeah, it's actually really nice. You can sit outside now. It's that time of the year in Dubai that from now on to about, I think, February, maybe even March, it's beautiful. So, yeah, not making
Enjoy. Well, it won't be the same in the UK, bro, because very shortly, I think we're going to be stuck inside. So, enjoy those temperatures. Azeem, you've been following the series very closely. You know, you've been making different points on your social media throughout the series. I've mentioned it started in a disaster for Pakistan, losing that first test match. Pakistan prepared an absolute road for that test, and it backfired on them. And the next two test matches, they've certainly prepared more Pakistani-friendly conditions. It's worked well for them. But let's focus on this third test match, which was a mouth-watering decider. And let's look back at the first innings, because England actually started quite well. Duckett and Crawley opened up in that first day pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, they have done it as a partnership, after going such a long period of looking for a settled opening partnership. I think as a partnership, them two have generally got England off to a good start, and that was no different. Even in the second test, they got off really well before Sajid and Noman started to make their impact, and it was no different in this test match. Look, I think Pakistan cricket, historically, actually, the pitches have not been sort of spinning, turning pitches. It's been very much, people forget in the history, it's been about reverse swing and a mystery spin, leg spin generally. So, but the pitches over the last sort of couple of years have just been so flat and dead that it's just taken, the bowlers completely out of the game. So they took a big risk. It was a big gamble. And one that's paid off, but it's left England with lots of questions.
Let's just touch on that, because after the top two in the first innings, England, Pope, Joe Root, Harry Brook, they all failed. And Jamie Smith and Gus Atkinson out of nowhere brought England right back into the test match.
Yeah, you know what? I think a lot of people will talk about Bazball and England being one side. I think a lot of people talk about Bazball and England being one-dimensional and just, being gun-ho and just attacking. Actually, in this test match, if you look at it a bit more clearly, I actually felt that England were tentative. I actually felt that they went into their shell. And then in terms of a get-out option, they only, sweep seemed to be the only option. And also, did they go into this test match with the pitch in their heads too much? Because the pitch has been all right. Yes, odd ones kept low. It's not spun square. I think the two Pakistani spinners have bowled outstandingly well. But if you look at that first morning, was it a 5-down pitch? I don't think so. And then Jamie Smith and Gus Atkinson actually showed. You apply yourself, you have a plan, and when you attack, you be clear. When you defend, you be clear. There's runs to be had. And let's be right, up until this time yesterday, the game was in the real balance. And then Sajid and Noman with their batting, obviously South Shakil's knock is probably one of the best test hundreds you're going to see in the method, in the tempo, in the position, everything. But Sajid and Noman yesterday, when they with the bat, really pushed the game into a different direction, and you could tell once England had lost the ability to have a lead and then concede a lead, it was going to be very, very quick. And yeah, that's what it turned out to be today.
Let's touch on the two spin twins of this series. Noman Ali, Chacha, I like to call him. A lot of criticism when he got named in this series. He's old. Why are we bringing him back? age is just a number as far as I'm concerned, Azeem, if somebody's still performing. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's absolutely no doubt that as a bowler, I think he did an interview after the second test where good old Ramiz again tried to ask him questions about where this come from type thing, and he said, well, in my last test match, I got a 6-4, something along them lines. So he's been performing as a spinner. You come into your own a little bit later. And yeah, in them conditions, he was, I mean, both spinners, but he did it in a very old school manner, a lot of flight, ball slower, and showed England how to bowl, but England still didn't try and copy him. But yeah, I think, look, it's been amazing for Pakistan cricket. It's been a tough, ever since the Asia Cup before the 50 over World Cup, Pakistan cricket has just been a shambles, a chaos, an embarrassment, really, a lot of times. And to see them over the last couple of weeks with a smile on their face, the street smartness, the interview yesterday where Sajid talked about them talking in Urdu to try and fool Rehan and Shoaib. That is Pakistan cricket as we know it, right? Street smart, gutsy, putting their bodies on the line. And to see a little bit of that has just been heartwarming. And two experienced people, especially in Noman's case, being at the forefront of that, it's been quite nice to watch.
Sajid Khan literally bled for his country. I mean, he is a warrior. I watch him on the pitch, his passion, his enthusiasm, his aggression is such a nice balance, but you can see that he's a total team man as well. And he literally, as I said, he bled for his country.
Yeah, he's an off spinner, right? He's an off spinner. He played his cricket like an off spinner has to, because as an off spinner in this game, you have to have a lot more about you than just your skill. But it's been his skill. His skill's been outstanding. I don't think people will, unless they're really, spin badgers like myself, or, analyze the game really deeply. A lot of criticism of the England batters, and rightly so. But it was as if he knew what they were going to do 3 balls before they were going to do it. And he changed his pace so subtly. He pulled it back. He pushed it forward, especially when batters are sweeping. If you can read them, you can get ahead of it, and you can start to make it difficult for them with your angles. He moved around in the crease. He slowed it up. He went quicker. He changed the seam of his, delivery point. And so very much like an off spinner, got right stuck in there, got into the fight. It was so good, but the skill level was outstanding. And again, if you look back to the second test match, Crawley and Duckett got England off to a really good start. And actually, even with Pope, England were in a very, very good position. And it was when Root came in, and you could see Sajid started to bowl a little bit wider and a little bit slower. And he talked about that in his press conference. And it's from there on, they really got England defending tentatively. And from there on, they've not let them breathe ever since together. But, there's a lot more that's gone on with him. You could see in his press conferences, in his interviews, that there's a lot of thought gone into every pitch, every situation. Batters, he talked about how he watched the first test match and watched Harry Brook playing off the back foot. And that's what his plans were. So, yeah, in true off-spinner style, which is what you have to do in this game as an off-spinner, he's been absolutely a breath of fresh air for Pakistan cricket.
Yeah, he looks like a total student of the game. Very interesting to see you touch on that. You're an off-spinner. You have to be reading the game, especially in the middle of a series. And the fact that he's, had a look at Brook, analysed it, and then adjusted things, I think that's it's a remarkable sign for an off spinner. The best off spinners always read the game well. But let's not forget as well, these two guys played 2 crucial knocks towards the end of Pakistan's first innings, where Pakistan could have easily given up a big lead to England, but Noman Ali and Sajid Khan, crucial partnership for Saud Shakil. That I think that's where the test match was won.
Yeah, I mean, look, Saud Shakil. I'm not sure if there's any words that can do justice to that knock. The calmness, the tempo, the clarity, and I think that's the word for me. It's the clarity of decision making. You know, when he went forward, he went forward. When he went back, he went back. You know, he read the game. When England started to attempt to go a little bit slower and wider with Jack Leach, he reverse swept. So, and that should have been the sign for Jack Leach and England, actually, that they should have bowled slower and wider and set a field accordingly. Because on that pitch, I think consistently to be able to have done that would have been really difficult for him. And yeah, he was well ahead of them in a long way. I actually think the change of momentum came a little bit earlier. I think when Rizwan came in, because, you know, honestly speaking, I thought Sean was disappointing, having already, you know, got out that way earlier in the series. He looked like he was going to get out like that at any point, you know, trying to work the off spinner to leg side. So, and up until that point, it felt like Pakistan were just, you know, sort of just sitting there. At some point, it was going to go bang, bang, bang. But Rizwan came in, got a bit busy, put the spinners under pressure, and then their lack of experience in Rehan, and I mean, Rehan was brilliant, in Bashir showed, and the lack of, I think the lack of variation, the lack of being able to go away from just ramming the ball into the pitch from Jack Leach, I think really, really showed. And I think from an England point of view, I'm just drifting off to England, I think Jack Leach's performances, spin bowlers' performances as a whole, second and third test match, but Jack Leach's inability to, you know, to do anything other than just ram the ball into the pitch has been one of the big reasons of the second and third test match, England being so away from it. But yeah, you know, that Rizwan coming in, getting busy, and then, you know, Pakistan just stood in there, just sticking there, sticking there. And, you know, you could see as it was, I think England was 70, still had a run of 70 ahead. And then you just felt like a momentum sort of shifting and they were getting impatient. For the first time, a Ben Stokes team looked like they were drifting, they were tiring. And that's where Noman and Sajid came in. And yeah, took it right to them. And yeah, you're right. Look, a 70-run lead either way is the difference in the game here. It's that first innings lead, you know, and then they've come out. England have, you know, we didn't think that they would get more than, you know, I didn't think that they would put them in any sort of position to win the game, and that's exactly what happened, and it went very quickly.
Two kind of main points to finish on. It's been so refreshing, I think, although and I know you and I both are agreed on this, we're both Babar Azam fans. You know, I can't not ask you and pick your brains on this, but Pakistan, for the first time in as long as I can remember, made some very bold decisions to leave out Babar Azam, Shaheen Shah Afridi, and Naseem Shah. At the time, a lot of people were rocked by that decision, especially with Babar Azam. I don't think so much with the two seamers because they haven't been performing for a long time. Neither's Babar, but he's such a big player. But do you now, what's your thoughts now on that decision based on the fact that it clearly worked and Pakistan have won the series?
Yeah, look, ultimately you're in results business, right? And you get judged by the results. They've taken big gambles, huge gambles, right? The results, and they've, you know, the results put them in a stead where you can't really argue the, you know, for their gambles. I think there's got to be a long-term, what do we see from here really is the main thing. There's got to be a bit more of a long-term look, which unfortunately I don't think we're going to get. I think the chaos will continue, unfortunately. I don't want to be negative on a day like today because I think, you know, Pakistan cricket after the 18 months, 2 years it's had, it's, you know, in between the second and the third test as well, I was like, you know what, get carried away, enjoy the win. It's been brilliant. Look, at some point, Babar's going to have to come back. You know, he's arguably one of the best players in the world. You know, those that know him closest need to, because look, I feel for Babar. I feel for a lot of the players over the last few years. At the same time, I don't think they help themselves either, in a lot of different ways. Decisions being made. He's got time to, you know, reflect, hopefully use it as an opportunity, you know, to work on his game, to work on his mentality, to work on his outlook, and come back, you know, and go and achieve what we all know and feel that he should. Look, he's not the first player, world-class player to have been dropped, and he definitely won't be the last. Joe Root was dropped early on in his career. I'm sure, in history, there's a lot of, other big players that have been dropped. It's how you come back from that. And yeah, that's the challenge laid out to him. Would I have done it? I still, even with these results, I wouldn't have done it. But, those that are ultimately going to be held accountable for the decisions have now got to work out what happens, because you look the tour to South Africa and, all congratulations to the lads that have done well. I worry for us, quite a few of them, batting wise in South African conditions. But then again, right, from the form that Babar was in, he gave them the opportunity to leave him out, and yeah, they took the opportunity. It's very much about. I mean, it sounds like Akid Javid is going to be coming in a potentially a director of cricket type role. What the future holds for Jason Gillespie after some of the interviews, he's clearly, not very pleased with what's taken place in terms of the decisions. Whether he's able to, put that to one side and carry on in a new role now. Lot of questions, but I think for now, let Pakistan cricket enjoy what has been an incredible Test series victory, very unexpected. And yeah, it's come for a good time. It's come at a good time for the country as a whole, because it's been a pretty depressing time.
It has indeed. It has indeed. And yeah, let's enjoy it for the moment. But we wouldn't be surprised if Pakistan go to South Africa and struggle. But let's see how that unfolds. England, just to finish on, continued challenges of when the ball starts turning in the subcontinent, they struggle. There's no question about it. As soon as the ball starts to turn, England struggle, and it's happened again here in these last two Test matches. What do England learn? What do England need to learn from this? Is Bazball going to work when the ball starts turning in the subcontinent? I have my doubts. What's next for England now?
I think there's a big crossroads, if I'm being perfectly honest, because I'm of the belief that England are not as good as they think they are. I fundamentally believe that over the last few years. I think if you look at every time they're put under pressure, there doesn't seem to be the adaptability to think on their feet. And I don't believe in playing cricket on the extremes, or just anything on extremes. You can't be what you start off at. The morning in the first session is not the thought process and the plans that you might need in the third session. And England seem to be just stuck. Either they're block, or they're whack. And I think there's a real crossroads, because Jack Leach, for one, I tweeted yesterday about the comment that Shane Warne made about Monty Panesar and playing the same test 30 times and being one-dimensional. I don't think enough's been spoken about how poorly Jack and Shoaib Bashir bowled in that second Test match in the first innings. They just bowled fast, and Bashir wasn't able to hold length, and Leach just bowled fast. Now, okay, that's happened there. Then you watch, Sajid and Noman not only bowl slower and wider, actually tell everyone during the game that's what they're doing. Then, to see them Leach specifically not be able to sort of do that in the second innings, and then come to this Test match, again, bowling, I think, nearly 11 kilometers an hour on average faster than the Pakistani spinners. And you could tell when he tried to go slower, he couldn't hold his length. I think after 38 Test matches, and I looked at compared the two records, him with Monty, I think we potentially could have seen the last of Jack Leach in an England shirt. And look, he's a good guy. I think everyone loves him. But Shoaib Bashir, clearly in England's eyes, is number one. England don't go to the subcontinent for the next 2 years. And when they go to the subcontinent, he has, if he has a pitch where he can just ram it, he does a job. He does a job. When he has to adapt, he struggles. On the subcontinent, you need your most experienced spinner to be, not just doing a job. So I think there are big questions. I think there's questions about whether Jamie Smith should be keeping wicket. One, because I think he has the ability to be an outstanding world-class batsman, right? Like his technique, he looks like he has the game, the reading of the game, but also he looks like he has a game for all conditions. So, do you really want to burden him with a wicket keeping and then drop catches that can be, quite big in deciding the game in the subcontinent? So, there's question marks there, huge question marks there. And then the batting, Ollie Pope, where do you go with Ollie Pope? Such an anomaly, right? Gets that one big innings and then goes disappearing. Zach Crawley, I mean, looks like he's got absolutely no chance. I mean, it starts spinning, absolutely no game. Yes, it'll be suited to the Ashes, but England get fixated on the Ashes. But also, I was looking at the fixtures just before coming on, and now that McCullum's taken charge of the white ball side as well, he doesn't have that breathing space to just, the whole vibes and yeah, everything's fine, we'll be fine, or, all that stuff. They're going to start getting scrutinized and held accountable a little bit more. And, you've got the Champions Trophy coming. You've got the India series in the summer and the Ashes. If this things don't change or things don't get better or the players don't get better, you could be looking at the end of the Ashes and going, hold on a minute, what has the last few years brought? A few vibes. It's clearly that, it works. The environment's great for a certain type of player. So yeah, I think England's at a bit of a crossroads. I'm sure they'll just brush it all off as they have done. And if there's no self-reflection out of this series and where they're going, then I unfortunately I think they've got a tough 12 months ahead. But what worried me after the match was I've never seen Ben Stokes look so deflated, actually, and I saw him look frustrated during the matches. So I think I just want Ben Stokes, the batsman, the all-rounder, more than I want Ben Stokes the captain, if I'm being perfectly honest. But because they've gone so to the extreme, there's no backtrack now. There's no backtrack. Anything that they backtrack will look like they don't believe in what they were saying before. So yeah, I think, look, the proof will be in the pudding. But the one thing they do have is they're back on the horse very quickly to New Zealand, which is not going to be easy after a historic. Have they won now? Let me just check.
They were on the verge. They were on the verge.
Yeah, verge of a historic win in India. So yeah, that's not going to be easy either. So yeah, really interesting time to look. Following 2 test matches, India, New Zealand, Pakistan, England, there's nothing like test cricket. I just plead with the administrators of the game, cut the short-termism and actually genuinely preserve this game, because, I think this week's been absolutely brilliant. 2 outstanding test matches. Let's resource all countries equally. And yeah, test cricket is still the most enjoyable thing to watch.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. Test cricket.
They have won. They have won.
New Zealand have won. New Zealand have won as well. And a historical Test series victory. Who said Test cricket is dead? We certainly aren't. Test cricket is booming. We just need the administrators to, drive it more. And I'm sure the future of Test cricket can be bright. Azeem Rafiq, been a pleasure. Fascinating to listen to you on spin in particular. I love listening to you there. You can tell you were a great off spinner in your time. You understand the art of the skill, and it was really good to listen to. Thank you very much for joining me.
No worries. Thank you.